This podcast, this vlog is going to explore getting started with Space Marines. We're going to look at the 2 or 3 key points, the questions that you need to ask before you kind of build your army and figure out where you want to go. Now, there's this duality in 40K where, compared to other war games, there are a lot of units. There are a lot of choices for every single army, for every single faction in the game. So there's not one specific path to victory. Layer over this, and there's also a play style. I'm a big focus, a big fan of, look, you're going to be building, painting, collecting, you're going to be playing, you're going to be hanging out with your 40K friends. There is a lot, I don't want to throw around the term lifestyle, but it's a little bit of that with 40K. You should gravitate. You should play the models and the type of build that you want to play. I call this your player personality. So when you show up with your Space Marine army at your club, at your group, at the store, there's a personality behind it. People know what you like to play. That's why, while we can discuss individual units, I'm always a little hesitant to recommend and say you must play Space Marines like this. You must auto-include these type of units in there, because certainly if we analyze it, certain units are better than others, but that's not always healthy long-term. That's at least my focus and what I push out. However, with each army, and again, exploring Space Marines, there's a couple of background tactica that we want to keep in mind. So the first one, and I'm going to be a little harsh here, this is the Chaplain Fritz, delivering, actually I'd be Chaplain Linus, delivering the litanies of hate to you. You've got power armor. You've got Terminator armor. You've got the 3-up on there, right? Of course, modified by AP. But for the most part, when you take wounds, you're going to be able to get some sort of save for most of the units in the game. If you are making armor saves, something has gone wrong in your tactics. And what I mean by that is that should be, and you need to be draconian about it, that should be your last level of defense. The Marines want to use their perfect combination, and this is the second layer. We're going to focus on that in a second. They want to use their perfect combination, almost this strike force idea, where you get the jump on your opponent, where you are shooting first, either protecting through vehicles, dancing out of range, using mobility. You are getting the jump first. So think about when you make a mistake tactically or things don't quite work out, the armor saves, they're your last line of defense. If you are regularly just marching forward, you're not Necrons. If you think you're just marching forward and the armor's going to save you, you're going to take losses, you're going to drop down below critical mass. It's not going to work. So, and I do this with my Brotherhood of the Sword. I do this with my Hawk Lords. Space Marine chapter, Chaos 2. That's heresy. We want to get into the mentality of, I don't want to take armor saves. That's when I screw up tactically on there. When you filter all your other tactica through that, Space Marines suddenly become beast. So, second, certainly with Space Marines, you can specialize. If you want heavy armor and you want tanks, you can go in that direction. If you want to do assault, you know, my Red Templars, Black Templars, they are 100% assault themed on there. You can certainly focus on one area and build that. But that's a little bit self-limiting, and that's not the full strength of Space Marines. So ideally, if you said, hey, I want to specialize in the assault, you want to pull in a couple of other elements to support that. Marines have a little bit of everything. They have an answer for everything. They have a good option for everything. And that kind of lends itself to wanting to have an all-takers type list, which means the various pieces of the game where you have shooting, you have assault, you have flyers, you have vehicles, you have psychic support, you have special character support. Space Marines have something pretty decent in every single category on there. So you want to fill out all those categories. You might specialize in one area because that's your player personality, but the idea is you want to kind of fill out a little bit in all those areas. So this way, when you face another army and they have a weakness, you can leverage that. Let's look at an example, because you're facing my Berserkers of Scalathrax. Cornate Glory army, just lots and lots of berserkers, lots of cultists, lots of hellbrutes, lots of mauler fiends, all just coming at you, right? I am 99% assault. I'm going to try and overwhelm you on there. Even if you built an assault marine army, the fact that you have devastators, the fact that you have other long-range support options, if you just took one or two of those units and you happen to roll up and face my army, that's an exploit against that really, really powerful long-range firepower that I'm going to pay a heavy price for. That's going to be a major problem, and I'm not really going to be able to counter it on there. So that would be a weakness you see in my army, and because you have a little bit of everything in all these major categories, even though it's small, you can leverage it. So Marines want to kind of push in that direction. The third layer. Now this is interesting. I've been playing 40K for a long time. I love Tyranids. I love Space Marines. I love Grey Knights. I love Chaos Space Marines. I love Necrons on there. I love Eldar. But if you had to narrow me down, if you were like, Fritz, what has been the greatest influence in you, and what do you consider yourself primary, I would say an Eldar player. And it's amazing how things have evolved over 40K to the point where previously Eldar were about psychic support on there. So you had your Eldar units. They're very focused on there, guardians and aspects and vehicles, things like that. And you would use your psychic support through the Farseers to boost your units on there. Now, certainly Marines have psychic powers. A lot of armies have access to psychics. But the special characters that Marines can throw down, you want to look and be able to bring in a number of these special characters because through their abilities, through their buffs and other things, they really boost your Marine army. They really, really do on there. And this is going to allow you to take your Marine army in a variety of different directions. One of the things that I recommend early on, it's a little pricey for one figure, filling out those special characters and special choices gives you a lot of diversity where you can literally say, okay, this is the Marine army I want to play. This is the theme. Let's just say it's assault. I'm going to play the assault army. And you pump things into the assault. But then I'm going to say, well, I'm going to take some devastators, some long-range support. I'm going to take some armor on there that's not assault-based, maybe like a Predator, things like that, push that forward. And then I'm going to try and collect as many of these characters as I can for those HQ choice slots on there because they really, the little tweaks and the things that they can do, that's the advantage that Marines have, that they can layer on that one above and beyond. And it has the feel of editions ago playing Eldar Psychic Support where it would boost and magnify your army. Those are the starting points. That's the checklist for Space Marines, the things to consider as you develop out your player personality. But the number one thing, again, the litanies of hate. Taking armor saves, making saves is not the plan. That means things have gone wrong. You need to tactically maneuver to the place where you get the jump. Other armies like Chaos, I throw down cultists. I don't care about armor saves on there. I throw down my Tyranids, my Gaunts. It doesn't matter on there. I'm just going to flood the table with it. Marines, you want to leverage that for your staying power. If you can master that, even to like 20%, 30%, you will become beast on the table.